A big hello to all of you. I am Brinda, subject matter expert English at SuperGrads, and I hope you all are great and all set to appear or to crack the IPM that you all are planning to say have been wishing to do for quite some time, I guess. Well, today in this session, we will look at a very important and a very interesting concept of English language. This one is called a modifier. Let's understand what these are, how these work, and why do we even need them? Let's have a look. So, to begin with, what is a modifier? Well, modifier is essentially a word, a phrase, a clause, anything that describes something or makes its meaning more specific. Modifiers generally function as an adjective or an adverb in a sentence. Now, for example, I say a mansion. And you picture a mansion in your mind, right? But if I say a huge mansion, a grand mansion, so what do you picture in your mind now? You see a huge or a grand mansion in your mind, right? So the word huge, which is a modifier, describes the word mansion more. It tells you a bit more about the word mansion. So it's working like an adjective in the sentence. Now let's look at the other example. This says the boy laughed loudly. Now, I could simply say the boy laughed. There's nothing wrong with this part. But how did the boy laugh? The boy laughed loudly. So the word loudly tells us more about how the boy laughed. So the word loudly, which is a modifier word, works like an adverb in the sentence. Now you will say, ma'am, this is so simple. Why are you even telling us this? Well, wait, because there's a reason. You'll understand that. Let's look at what modifiers are. Then we'll understand why do we need them? Why are they so crucial in English language, especially when you have to attempt questions like spot the error. Let me show you. Now, the modifiers just don't appear as words in a given sentence. They can appear as phrases also. Now, what are phrases? Phrases are part of a sentence that cannot stand on their own. Now, a very heavy instrument. Now, I could have simply said heavy instrument, but instead, what do I choose? I choose a set of words to describe the word, say, instrument, very heavy instrument. So, the word very heavy works like a modifier phrase in this case. But then think about it. What does the expression very heavy signify? Well, I'm telling you more about the instrument. How is the instrument? It's very heavy. So the expression very heavy is modifying the word instrument. Now look at the next example that I have for you. This one says she played on the ground. Now, where did she play? She played on the ground. So the expression, the phrase on the ground simply talks about where she played. It tells me more about the place where she played, right? So that is working like an adverbial phrase here as a modifier here, okay? Now let's see. These can even work like clause. For example, he's the boy who won the race. Now, the expression, the clause who won the race, what does it tell you about? Who does it point here in the sentence? Well, it's talking about the boy. Now, what is special about this boy? Well, he won the race. So he's the boy who won the race. So who won the race is modifying the boy who uh, came first. Now, there's another one. Good evening. Hello, all. Now, the next expression that I have for you is she arrived when they were ready. Now, see, the expression, the clause when they were ready talks more about the time when they arrived. So, when did she arrive? When they were ready. So, be it a word, a phrase, or a clause, the modifier only tells you more about the noun or the pronoun or the work that has been done in a sentence. So just let's look at this now. See, so essentially, modifiers may come in different forms. It could be a word, it could be a phrase, it could be a clause. But what does it do? It functions like an adjective or an adverb. That is, it tells you more about the noun or the verbs or the action that happens in the sentence, right? Now, so they simply modify the bottom line, right? Now, let's see There are some examples here on your screen. See, this one says, just Joey was selected for the quiz. Look at the way I've placed just in the first example. This says just Joey was selected for the quiz. Now the second one says Joey was just selected for the quiz. And the third one says Joey was selected just for the quiz. Can you figure out the difference in the three sentences based on the way I've placed just in the sentence? Would any of you like to try? Well, let's do this together. See, when I place just here in this sentence, just next to the subject of the sentence, Joey, I am, the word just modifies Joey. That is, it tells you more about Joey. That means, let's say there were five candidates or there were 10 candidates. Out of them, who was selected? Just Joey was selected. See, in order to modify Joey, I've placed just right next to it. Now let's look at the second one. Joey was just selected for the quiz. Now, here, what is the emphasis of the sentence? That out of, say, there are several other activities, Joey is just selected just now. Say, when was he selected? Just now. He was selected for the quiz. So, placing it next to the word selected, we are modifying the time when the selection was done. Now, Joey was selected just for the quiz. Now, let's see, there were several events that were planned, but out of them, Joey was selected only for the quiz. So, just by placing a word next to the word it modifies, it makes all the difference in the world. So, how you use your words, how you place your modifiers will have an impact on what information you want to convey to your listener or to your reader. Now let's look at another example. This one says they read the paper they had bought slowly. See, I've underlined slowly. And in the next sentence, they slowly read the paper they had bought. Now, what's the difference in the two sentences? In the first sentence, I've placed slowly next to the word bought. That is the activity that happened. That means the focus of the sentence is that they were very slow when they made the payment and they collected the newspaper. So the entire act of sale and purchase of the newspaper was probably very slow. So I'm sorry, they read the paper they had bought slowly. So the process of buying the newspaper was really slow. It has nothing to do with reading the newspaper. Now look at the second sentence. This says they slowly read the newspaper. Now this one, because I've placed the word slowly with the word read, that is the verb of the sentence, now my focus says that how did they read? Well, they were really slow when they read the newspaper. They were really slow. They took their time and they read each and everything probably, and they went slowly ahead and read the newspaper. So, this is the power of placing the modifier correctly in the sentence. So, if you place it correctly, you emphasize more on what you want to say. Now, let's see, why do we need to understand these modifiers so closely? Now, see, the reason is that if you misplace your modifier, if you do not place it in the right place where it should have been, it will alter the meaning of the sentence. We've just seen it. Just because I placed slowly at the end of the sentence, my focus was more on the act of buying the newspaper. And when I placed it near the word read, the focus was more on the act of reading the newspaper. The entire structure stayed the same. I only changed the place of slowly in the two sentences that I had for you in the last example. So that is one big reason why, because we really want to showcase what is, say, the focus of the sentence. That is the reason why we need to place these modifiers in the right order. Now let's see. Now, if a modifier is misplaced or improperly separated from the word it modifies or describes, now it can really result in some awkward or ridiculous, say, statement. Now, I mean, the whole structure of the sentence can also become illogical if we do not place the modifier in the right place. Now, see, look at the example that I've given here. This one says, I saw a tiger in my night suit. Now, what idea does this sentence convey to you? I saw a tiger in my night suit. You're probably thinking that you were in the night suit and you saw the tiger, right? But if you read the sentence carefully, that is not what the sentence is telling you. It's saying you saw a tiger in your night suit. So probably you are here. There is this tiger who's wearing a night suit. Read the sentence again. I saw the tiger in my night suit. Is the message getting conveyed in this one? Are you in the night suit or is that the tiger that is in the night suit? So that means if we do not place the modifier appropriately in the sentence, we may not be able to convey the message and there might be some ambiguity that may be caused. So the a modifier is best placed alongside whatever it is modifying. We've seen that in a few examples that whatever you want to emphasize or you want to modify or you want to describe in the sentence, that is where you need to place your modifier. And what is a modifier? Be it a verb, be it a word, a phrase, or a clause, it will be an adjective or an adverb which will tell you more about the subject or the verb or the object of the sentence, right? So that's the crux, that's the principle that we'll be discussing in the next few examples and the exercises that will follow. All right, so let's delve right in. Now, see, there's a small exercise for you to handle. This says correct any misplaced word in the sentence given below. Rewriting the sentence so that the misplaced word is next to the word it modifies. So clearly, the instruction tells us that whatever is the structure that you're about to read, there is a part of the sentence which has been misplaced. And where do we have to keep it? We have to keep it next to the word it modifies, right? So let's see. The first one says, hello, Shambhavi. Well, there's a very good question for you, for all of you, I'd say. Let's see if we can answer this one. This says, the dealer sold the car to the man with leather seats. Now, what part of the sentence do you think is misplaced in this sentence? See, let's do it together. The dealer, yes, absolutely right, Namita. That's a part that is misplaced. So the with leather seats is the misplaced part. It's placed next to the word man. So if you read it in a flow, it feels as if the man has the leather seats. But is it the man who has the leather seats or is it the car which would have the leather seats, right? It would be the car. So the sentence should have been the dealer sold the car with leather seats to the man. Make sense? Let's look at another example. See, we hiked through the forest wearing only light shirts and shorts. Well, if you look at it, it looks okay. You'll say, ma'am, what's wrong in the sentence? There's nothing misplaced, right? But read it again. There's something which is definitely misplaced. Now go by the concept that the modifier is best placed near the word it modifies. Think about it in your mind and tell me. Yes, Shambhavi, see, in these questions, I'm not giving you options. I just want you to exercise your brain and tell me which part do you think is wrong in this. So we hiked through the forest wearing only light shirts and shorts. Which part do you think is misplaced? First of all, let's see. See, wearing only light shirts and shorts. It's placed closest to the word forest, right? So was it the forest that was wearing the light shirts and shorts? Or was it we who had worn light shirts and shorts? See, I repeat, a modifier should be placed next to the part or the word that it modifies. Now, who was wearing the shirts and the shorts? The people. But we have placed wearing light shirts and shorts next to the forest. So this sentence is grammatically incorrect. This sentence, yes, Namita has given the answer and she says yes. Wearing only light shirts and shorts, yes. And then we hiked through the forest. So we could have said wearing only light shirts and shorts, and then place this part here, comma. We hiked through the forest. Very good. I've got some more answers. Absolutely right. Fantastic. Very good. Now let's look at another example without the options. Okay, this one says the fans stood in a line to buy the tickets to the show for 30 minutes. Let's see if we can figure out what's wrong in this sentence. First of all, identify which part is not correct. Well, let's do it together. See, the fans stood in a line to buy the tickets. Looks good to me. To the show, fine, for 30 minutes. Now, to the show for 30 minutes, well, they stood in a line for 30 minutes to buy the tickets to the show, right? Makes sense? So, the fans stood in a line for 30 minutes to buy the tickets to the show, right? Yes, that's absolutely right. Very good. Now let's look at the next one. The salesman sold the fruits to the pretty woman in a wooden basket. Oh, look at it. See, there's something definitely misplaced in the sentence. Let's see if we can figure it out. Okay, let's do it together. See, the salesman sold fruits. Well, how about in a wooden basket? Because you certainly cannot put a woman in a wooden basket. That would be wrong. So the word in the wooden basket would best modify the word fruits. So might as well place this here. So the sales, yes, that's absolutely right. Great going. The salesman sold the fruits in a wooden basket to the pretty woman. All right. Let's see. There's another one. Yes, great going. Good. Now this one. Gia searched for someone to teach her how to play the violin without success. Now, what happened without success? Look at the structure of the sentence. Probably the search was futile. She could not find anyone. So how about we place the word without success right here? So Jia searched for someone without success to teach her how to play the violin. Again, without success would best modify the futile search, right? So it's best placed next to the part where it would best modify the meaning of that aspect of the sentence, all right? So let's look at another one. Now, Jack read a chilling article in the Hindustan Times about the effects of lead poisoning. Now, this I leave to you. Tell me, what do you think is the misplaced phrase in the sentence? Yes, that's right. Very good. Answer this one now. Just try and focus the part which you think best modifies something else in the sentence and not the place, the part where it is complementing. See, Jack read a chilling article. How about the effects of lead poisoning in Hindustan Times? Because what was the article about? Well, the effects of lead poisoning. So, this section, this part, absolutely right. Very good. About the effects of lead poisoning best describes or best modifies the word article. So, that is the place where you should place it. That's absolutely right. Fantastic, Prolitube. Now, let's see. See, there's another structure that I would like you to understand here because not all the structures that we use in our language are the same. But then the principle, the crux of the story stays the same, that the modifier is best placed alongside whatever it is modifying. Now let's see. There is an expression here. This says, hungry, the leftover food was devoured. Here, see, the leftover food is acting like the subject of the sentence, right? But was the leftover food hungry? Because according to my logic, we're saying that modifier should be placed alongside whatever it is modifying. So how about we give a subject to the sentence? Say, hungry, we devoured the leftover food. Now see, who was hungry? We were hungry. So we, being hungry, devoured the leftover food. Or maybe you could say the team. The team, being hungry, devoured the leftover food. Or how about I? Well, I have written three subjects. I've given three different subjects to the same structure. You could have used anything under the sun to give this structure a subject, because who was hungry in the sentence? The word hungry best modifies the subject here. So we need a subject here to show what hungry best modifies. All right. Now, well, in this case, all the three options are right. What I'm trying to tell you here is that if at all you have a modifier, you need the thing, the verb, the action, the noun, the pronoun, the subject, the object, whatever it is, something that it will modify. That was missing here in my base sentence when I said hungry, the leftover food was devoured. Who ate the food? Who was hungry in the sentence, right? So we needed that who here. Now let's look at another example. So Gia almost earned $50 yesterday. Now see, when I say Gia earned almost $50 yesterday, the focus of the sentence is that almost she earned, but she didn't earn anything. She was on the verge of earning, but she didn't earn anything yesterday. Now look at the second sentence. When I placed almost next to the money, the amount, then it makes better sense. So Gia earned almost $50 yesterday. Maybe she earned 47, 48, or 51, I don't know. But how much did she earn? Almost $50 yesterday. Again, the concept, the crux of the story stays the same, that the modifier should be placed next to whatever it is modifying. Now, see, there's something else for you to understand. This one is for you to solve. I have read Milton's poems, who was a romantic poet. Now, see, I've also underlined the part which I am saying is wrong. So, this says, I've read Milton's poems, who was a romantic poet. This part, who was a romantic poet, is a misplaced modifier in this sentence. The reason being, it's placed next to the word poems, so it's obviously modifying the poems. But was it the poems who was a romantic poet, or Milton who was a romantic poet? Think about it. So the correct structure here should have been, I have read the poems of Milton. See, I've just removed the apostrophe and I've rephrased the entire thing, and I've said, I've read the poems of Milton, who was a romantic poet. Now, see, the only change that I made here, I've placed Milton close to the clause that was modifying it. Make sense? Now, that is what, see, if I just say huge mansion, that may not be, say, so useful for you. But this is your level. This is what you get to see in the exam. This is where there'll be an error and they'll ask you to spot it. And you'll say, oh, what is wrong with I have read Milton's poems, who was a romantic poet. But then now you know that there was a problem of misplaced modifier in the first sentence. Now let's look at another example. So this one says, Jack saw 53 horses driving to the museum. What is the problem in this sentence? Let's figure it out together. See, Jack saw 53 horses driving to the museum. Well, were the horses driving to the museum, or was it Jack who was driving to the museum and he happened to see 53 horses on the way? So the correct structure should be, Jack, while driving to the museum, Jack saw 53 horses. Now look at the structure a little carefully. While driving to the museum is a modifier that best modifies the word Jack, because who was driving to the museum? It was Jack. So I placed this expression closest to Jack, right? Now, and one more thing, whether we have a modifier in the sentence or not, it doesn't really affect the structure of the sentence. So there's a very good way to find out whether you're thinking on the right lines or not. Let's say I remove this part. Jack saw 53 horses. Does this part have any effect on the structure of the sentence? No, it doesn't, because this is more like a phrase that tells you more about Jack. What was Jack doing? He was driving to the museum. But then what did he see? He saw 53 horses. Let's look at another example. As a teacher, students should be my main concern. Now let's see. Who is a teacher here? Is this a student or is it this my who's the teacher here? So what is wrong in this sentence? The word student should not be placed next to this expression as a teacher. It should be my that should be placed here, closest to the part that modifies. Now this is a modifier and it should be placed closest to the part that it modifies. So the correct answer would be, as a teacher, I should be concerned about my students or my students' welfare. Let's take a look at another example. Racing across the finish line, her shoe was lost. Now, see, you'll say, ma'am, this is something that we use every day, but then trust me, this one is wrong. Try and place this here in the sentence. It won't make sense. Her shoe racing across the line was lost. Now, if you read this sentence, it feels that as if her shoe was racing along the finish line. It was not she who was doing that, it was her shoe, because the modifier is best placed near the shoe, her shoe. Now, what should be the correct structure here? Well, racing across the finish line, she lost her shoe. I've placed her next to the modifier. And there's another, I mean, there's a very good way of checking it. One being remove this part, the structure doesn't get affected. So remove this part. Racing across the finish line, remove it. She lost her shoe. Perfect. She lost her shoe. Subject, verb, object. And how about I place this she here? She was racing along the finish line when she lost her shoe. Makes perfect sense. But here, her shoe was racing along the finish line when she lost it. Doesn't make sense, right? Now, this one is for you to handle. Hoping to get, hoping to get my laxity excused. A note was written and given to the teacher. Now, what do you think is a problem in this sentence? I'll give you a minute to decide and then I'll discuss this with you. All right, let's do this together. See, who is hoping to get the laxity excused? Maybe it's a subject, some person. Let's say it was I. So, hoping to get my laxity excused, I wrote a note. Now, you could have used any subject here, depending on the nature of the sentence, but we needed a subject here who was hoping to get his laxity or her laxity excused. So that is what the correct structure of using a modifier in a sentence is. Now let's see. There is another set of exercise for you all. Now here you have to determine if the sentence is correct or if it has a misplaced modifier. But then don't forget, if you begin your sentence with the description of an action like we just saw, the very next word should be a subject. That means the one who did the action that you would see in the description of the subject, right? Keep that in mind. Now, this one says, find out the correct sentence. So this one is not looking where she was going. A car hit Hina. Now, who was not looking where she was going? Was it a car? Was it Hina, or her? Well, I think we can eliminate the first and the fourth one. Now, let's look at the first B and C part, where we at least have a subject who was not looking while she was uh, moving. So Hina was hit by a car or Hina was hitted by a car. Well, this sentence is structurally wrong. So we have only one correct answer, that is not looking where she was going. Hina was hit by a car. There's another one. Choose the sentence with the misplaced modifier. So misplaced modifier is the modifier is not placed at the right stage, right? Let's see. Yes, Namita, very good. Now for this one, let's see if you can answer. Take your time. So the first one is the salesman showed the toy with bright colors to the child. Is this one okay? Is everything okay in this sentence? On his way to school, Abe found a man's red wallet. Third one, on his way to school, Abe found a red man's bag. Mina had a cup of cold coffee last evening. Which sentence amongst these do you think has a misplaced modifier? Right. C. Salesman showed the toy with bright colors. Well, how was the toy? Had bright colors. So there's nothing wrong in this sentence. On his way to school, Abe. So who was on the way to school? Abe. So this part looks okay. Found a man's red wallet. How was the wallet? It was red. And who did it belong to? To a man. So everything looks in place in this one. On his way to school, Abe, this part is okay, found a red man's wallet. How come a man is red? Well, something is wrong here. Probably the word red has been misplaced. It should have been placed with the word bag, which it modifies the best. So the answer would be C. Meena had a cup of cold coffee last evening. Well, looks perfectly okay to me. The next one now. Complete the sentence with an appropriate choice. Walking through the forest. Now, if you remember the rule, the first thing that you need here is, yes, that's right, Namita. Uh, in the next one, you should know that first thing that you need here is a verb, is a subject who would, who was walking through the forest. Keep that in mind and get the answer. Was it the path of the traveler was moonlit? The moon lit up the leaves of the trees. Can it be the traveler saw the moon above the trees? The moon was seen above the tree by the traveler. Which part do you think best conveys the idea, or which part has the. Okay, I've got several answers, right? Yes, I agree with all of you. Well, see, going by the rule, walking through the trees, first of all, we need a subject here or anything that can work like a subject. So the path of the traveler was moonlit. Well, doesn't work. The moon lit up the leaves. Moon wasn't walking through the forest. The traveler saw, yes, walking through the forest, the traveler saw the moon above the trees. So we can definitely eliminate first and second, and C looks really good. Now, how about D? The moon was seen above the trees by the traveler. Well, there's hardly a difference in option C and option D. But the main difference is that here, if I choose option C, I'll be placing the subject right next to the modifier, and here I'll be placing it far away from what walking through the forest is modifying, right? So yes, you guys are right. Your answer is absolutely right. It would be C. Now let's see. There's another one. Which of the following sentences is correct? Hearing the news of her son's success, Marissa was happy. Hearing the news of her son's success, happiness was Marissa's. Hearing the news of her son's success, happy Marissa was. Hearing the news of her son's success, hers was happy. Tough choice, right? Good. Very good. Anyone else would like to try? Okay, let's look at the options together. See, hearing the news of her son's success, the first thing that you have to think about is that we need a subject here. So if it's happiness was Marissa's, happy Marissa was, these two can be outrightly eliminated because they are not even close to having a subject. Okay. Now, hello, Monk. Now see, hers could have worked like a subject of the sentence, but can we place it here? Hers, hearing the news of her son's success, was happy? No. But we can place Marissa very clearly here. Marissa, hearing the news of her son's success, was happy. So if I choose option A, it satisfies all the conditions. One, hearing the news of her son's success is modifying Marissa, who's the subject, who's the doer of the action here. Plus, if I try to put Marissa at the beginning of the sentence works fine. And let's see, if I remove this part of the sentence, Marissa was happy. Well, we don't know why, but she was very happy. So this is satisfying all the conditions. So that is our right answer. Well, there's another one. Try this. Again, you have to choose the correct sentence out of the sentences that are given or that are there in front of you. Get the answer. Entering the room, the light was off. There's a subject. Entering the room, Adya found the light off. Entering the room, the light was found off by Adya. Entering the room was found dark. Which sentence is correct out of the given options? Very good. Well, some of you say it's C. Then, of course, see, there is a subject here in the sentence, but can the light enter the room and be found by Adya? Can the light work as a subject of this sentence, of this expression, entering the room? No. But try and put Adya here. Adya entered the room and found the light off, or turned on, or whatever. See, so that means B is the most appropriate answer choice here. All right. So this is how you try and get the answer. Now the next one. While running on the road, again, the question says the same. You have to find the most appropriate say sentence type where the modifier has been correctly placed. So this one says, while running on the road, his shoulder was dislocated. While running on the road, it was his shoulder that dislocated. While running on the road, his shoulder which was dislocated, or while running on the road, his he dislocated his shoulder. What do you think is the right answer choice? Ah, quite agree. Yes, that's right. Now see, while running on the road, no, 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 I don't agree. I take my words back. See, his shoulder. Was the shoulder running on the road? No. I guess it was he who was running on the road. See, he, while running on the road, dislocated his shoulder. So he is a better subject to the sentence, right? Again, try and check this one. See, his shoulder. Again, it would look as if the shoulder was running around the road when it got dislocated. It was his shoulder. Again, what is this part while running on the road modifying? His shoulder, which was not running on the road. It was he who was running, so has to be D. All right. There's another one. Try this one. Fumbling in her purse, the keys could not be found. So would it be fumbling in her purse, she could not find the keys, or as she fumbled in her purse, the keys could not be found? Well, I guess this one is pretty simple, right? Get the answer. I'll see. How will this one work? Fumbling in her purse, she could not find the key. So will have to be she was fumbling in her purse and she could not find the keys. So this one is the right answer. Now let's look at another one. Which of the following sentences is correct? Now, the child was shot who found my bag. The child was shot which found my bag. Yes, that's right, Namita. The child who found my bag was shot, or the child found my bag was shot. Very good. Great going, people. Now the next one. Try this one and give me the answer. Which sentence do you think is correct here? I mean, so you just have to focus on whether the modifier has been placed correctly in the sentence or not. Or in other words, is it placed closest to the word that it is modifying? Fantastic. Very good. So the child who found my bag was short. So who found my bag is best modifying the child. So who found my bag? The child, right? So that's absolutely right. Now, the next one. Which of the following sentences is correct? Being young and experienced, the task seemed difficult to Radha. Being young and experienced, it seemed to be a difficult task for me. I guess I'll change it to Radha. Let's see, Priyanshu. Yes, your answer is right for the previous one. Being young and inexperienced, Radha thought the task was difficult. Being young and experienced, it was a difficult task for Radha. What do you think is the most appropriately placed modifier here? Challenge yourself, get the answer. Even it's okay even if it is wrong. Trying is more important than winning. Okay, great. I quite agree. So this one is being young and inexperienced. Radha thought the task was difficult. Now, who was young and inexperienced? Radha. So the modifier being young and inexperienced best modifies Radha. Now, if I place it here, see, it was not young and inexperienced. It, the task, no, doesn't make sense. It has to be C, where rather is the word which the expression being young and inexperienced modifies. So I quite agree with all the answers that I've got. Good going. And I guess this is the last question for the day. Now, you have to find out the error or you have to suggest if the sentence is okay. Having injured her hand, it was difficult to write the article by Aarti. Now, whose hand do you think was injured? Let's do this together. See, having injured her hand, Aarti had difficulty writing the article. So, going by the rule which has been the same throughout the session, that the modifier should be placed closest to the word that it modifies. Yes, that's right, Namita. So, what we needed here, having injured her hand, we needed the subject, the person whose hand was injured. We needed this her here. So Aarti had difficulty writing the article. Why? Because her hand was injured. Now, okay, there's another one. Being hungry after 2 hours of trekking, my packed lunch was thoroughly enjoyed upon reaching the forest. So, who do you think was hungry after 2 hours of trekking? Was it your lunch or was it you? So being hungry after 2 hours of trekking, because it's my packed lunch, so I'll place the subject I here. So being hungry and after 2 hours of trekking, I thoroughly enjoyed my packed lunch upon reaching the forest. Okay, this one is definitely the last one. Grinning from year to year, the candle was blown out and the movie concluded happily. Now look at the structure of the sentence. This one says grinning from year to year. So somebody's smiling, the broadest smile, has blown the candle and has enjoyed the movie, has seen the movie's conclusion as well. But who's the subject in this sentence? Tell me. I mean, it could be anybody under the sun, but you have to give the sentence a subject. Who did everything here? Who smiled? Who blew out the candle? And who concluded the movie? See, that's what we need to understand. We need the word that the modifier is modifying. So, bringing from year to year, maybe she blew out the candles and the movie concluded happily. So, whatever it is, has to be a subject who did everything in this uh, sentence, right? Well, that's all I had to offer today. I hope it made some sense and you were able to gain something because trust me, placing the modifiers correctly is really important in a sentence. And you get these kind of questions at least 2 to 3 in any given entrance test. So I hope you will be able to score those 2 3 marks. You'll be confident when they'll come across in any entrance test that you're planning to take. Well, hoping that I take your leave. I say goodbye for now. I'll see you sometime next week, and there will be several more sessions coming up so that you can score, say, and have very good score that you really need or you require in the entrance test that you're planning to take. So, if you have any questions, if you want to say anything, you can write this in the comment section. You can subscribe our channel. You can join our Telegram channel and stay tuned. Take care. Bye bye.